morning, everyone. It's Amanda from Willow in Pip, where I make handmade soaps and candles, as well as some other bath and body products. After a number of you have asked for a tutorial on how I make my labels, I am going to attempt to show you my process today. On my screen, I am showing my Canva account, and this is where I start for everything I do in relation to marketing, candle labels, soap bands, and as you can see, if you have a really good detective eye, even in my personal life where I'm making, with my kids, their resumes and cover letters. Canva is a free software or app. If you just go to canva.com, try it for free. I highly recommend. It's very intuitive. I do not have a design background, and over the time I have become a lot more proficient at using this program. But I would definitely recommend starting out with the free account. I use it so much in my day-to-day life that I have paid for the subscription. It allows you to do some extra things, opens up some more fonts, gives you the ability to download things with a transparent background. And I'm sure there's a whole slew of other things as well that are available. But honestly, I think I did the free account for about 6 months of running my business before I opted for the paid, and it's been well worth the value in money. Anyhow, we'll get started with creating a candle label. So I have two windows actually that I'm going to show you. So I keep all of my candle labels saved under one project is what each of these designs are called. And so that as I'm designing, adding, editing, I can find it all in an easy location. So what I mean by that is when you go to canva.com, you can log into your account or create an account. You come to this kind of dashboard style. So you can either click something that you've already got started. You can click the projects folder as well. But I always just work off of this home menu. Canva is really cool. It has all kinds of templates, and as you start to play with it, you'll get more familiar with the program. So if you were to start from scratch and didn't already have something on the go, what you're going to do is to go here to this custom size or create new. And I design all of my candle labels using a 2" by 3" label. And that's completely up to you. I will also show in this tutorial where I buy my labels. So if you want to do the same, this 2" by 3" label fits a really nice 8-ounce jar quite nicely. Anyhow, so when you go into this new design, you want to change your units right off the bat. Right now it's in pixels. That's really good for images, websites, etc. But I want to change it to inches. And as stated, I want my label to be 2 inches wide by 3 inches in height. And then you're going to go ahead and click New Design. And so what that's bringing up for us is just a blank page where you can start the design process. You can add text. You can add subtext. You can change the fonts. There's really a lot you can do with this. I'm going to flip into my pre-designed label and start with a copy and paste option and then walk you through from there. But I just wanted to show you that if you were starting from scratch, that is how you would get started. So flipping over to my other screen, again, this is the project where I've pre-created all of my labels. And I'm going to walk you through creating one together. So this first example is one of my candle labels. And again, once I create it and I'm happy with it, I use it as a template for all my other labels. And I'm sure you'll want to do the same thing, especially if you are running a business, because you want your look to be cohesive. So if you have a label pre-designed, you can just hit this duplicate page and it's actually going to just copy and paste. So let's say you wanted to, rename this to, Rose and Lily. You just type it in. It's going to be the exact same font, the exact same font size. And then you want to change the scent description, same thing. You just type over, even down to the size of the candle. So right now it says 8 ounce. I actually do use these labels typically for, or it says 10 ounce. I usually use these for an 8 ounce. But it was just the latest one that I had. Okay, so nonetheless, let's just start with a blank, because that's what you folks will be starting with when you go to this, create new 2 by 3 inches. You're going to have a blank canvas. I just wanted this here so I could kind of use my old template and not have to kind of reinvent the wheel here. So the first thing that I wanted on my candles was my logo. And again, you can design this however you want. So you certainly please don't make your labels look exactly like mine. I'm being very transparent with this just to give you inspiration, but design something unique. You don't want to copy someone else's. That's just, starting off on the wrong foot. Anyhow, so I do assume most people want their logo, however. So the way I went about this is I actually hired somebody from Etsy to professionally design my logo for me. You can of course create your own, but I did have mine designed. So if you click on this uploads section on the left hand margin, I previously hired someone from Etsy to design my logo. I saved it onto my computer. I uploaded it as a file here. So the really cool thing about Canva, you can also just copy and paste. So I'm just going to hit Control C for copy, go to my new template, Control V for paste, and voila, it's there. Okay, so you can easily, size this the way that you want. And the way you do that is just by clicking the bottom corner, moving it around. Canva will give you the width and height dimension, and it'll keep that image in proper proportion as well, which is really handy. The cool thing is as you're clicking and dragging this, it'll give you that center line. So I know, boop, right there, that is completely centered in the middle of that logo. Now I should say I'm designing this sideways. You don't have to do this. You could have created your new custom label over here, a 3 inch by 2 inch, and then just flipped it when you downloaded it. This will make more sense in a second. This is just honestly the way my brain works, but you might prefer to work, in another way. All right, so now that we've got our logo on our candle label, we want to put the name of our candle label on the front of the label. And to do that, again, you could just copy and paste or duplicate the template as I showed you. But what I would recommend is picking a couple of fonts that go with your branding and that you're going to be able to use. So you can see when I click this font, the one I've selected is here, and Canva will actually start to sort of save your most commonly used fonts in the top picks. So it's really handy because as you're creating other products, whether it's Instagram posts, etc., you can kind of keep that. You can also, save these under your brand template here as fonts. This little crown, however, does mean that this is a paid portion of Canva. So you only get that option to save your branded fonts, branded colors if you do that monthly subscription. Okay, so if you didn't, have the pre-created template already, the way you're going to go about this is clicking this text box. You're going to create, doesn't actually really matter. You could click heading, subheading, or botting, or you could just click add a text box, and you're going to name your candle. So let's just name this, Rose and Lily. It's just defaulting to whatever font it so chooses. That one's actually not too bad. Let's just leave it like that for argument's sake. And then the way I flip this kind of 90 degrees here is just this little circular arrow icon, and you just click it and drag it, and it's going to give you want it to go right to 90. That's going to mean it's a 90-degree angle. You can either just click in here and kind of drag it. Sometimes it'll let you do that, or you can click this little drag icon. And again, I'm moving it until I get that I want that middle snap line so I know it's centered. There, it's right there. Boop, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so our candle is called Rose and Lily. And let's say you want a little bit of a scent description below it. Again, this is completely optional. You might want this to look totally different. But again, I'm gonna add another text box. And I'm just going to grab this and move this down here so you can see a little more clearly. So let's just say this is, you know, I suppose Rose and Lily will say it all, but we'll just say, you know, floral and light notes. Again, give this a lot more thought than I just did. Because I don't want it to look the exact same, let's go ahead and try to pick a different font style. Now Canva will let you click on text styles. So let's just say, under font, you can just try typing, you know, if you were looking for something elegant. It's gonna give you some suggestions for that font description. So you can just start clicking different fonts that you think look cool, and it's gonna change it accordingly, which is, you know, very, very, very helpful. Just because we're going more block format, let's see what looks good. Sure, that one's fine. Now the other thing is I don't like that the font description is bigger than the title, and I don't like the spacing of the letters. So let's fix that. So I'm gonna go up here and just click the minus to make the font smaller. And if you wanted to change the spacing between the letters, this will give you the option here. So letter spacing, you can just drag it to the left and to the right, and you can see it's making the space between each letter tighter. And then line spacing applies if you have font that is going on more than one line, such as below. If you make this narrow, it's going to tighten it up from top to bottom. So those are really handy tools that I use quite often. Anyway, somewhere around there is good. So let's just move this over to the side here, and I'm going to flip it 90 degrees once again. The other cool thing about Canva is you can kind of work off page and then bring it onto page like so. Again, I can tell based on that middle line that I'm completely centered, which is cool. Now I do want to put a line between these just visually. It looks kind of weird the way my logo is. So another thing that you probably will use quite frequently is this elements pick. There's shapes. You can also type the shape that you want. So line is what I want. And then you can click see all, either under graphics or shapes, doesn't matter, and pick the style of line. I just want a straight line. So there it is on my page. It's too thick. So if I go up to line style and just drag this thinner, voila, it's less thick. I want it to be 90 degrees and I want it to be under here. I do find I don't want it to be black. So I can go here to line color. And the really cool thing with Canva is it's giving me some document colors. So it's seeing the Willow and Pip font letter colors, and it's saying, hey, these colors will match your design. These are gonna look good. So let's try the pink, the dusty rose color. Voila, it does. It looks good. It's gonna match kind of this dusty rose willow branch that I have in the back. You can add other, so as you can see, I've put my town name in my logo. I've put the type of wax I use, and of course the candle size. You would go about that the exact same way. So let's add some font. Let's go about it just using these subheadings, 8 ounces. Let's turn it to 90 degrees and let's put it in place and let's make it a lot smaller than that. And let's center it. Pretty slick and simple. If you wanted to get the boxes that I've done here, again, that's just an element. You could type, that's actually a rectangle, so I would type something like rectangle. It's been a bit since I've designed this. So you'd have to, its shape, you could click all, there's a rectangle for you. And it's a little bit of trial and error with the program, so this one's not quite the rectangle I want. I want a rectangle that I can actually squish the edges down. Not that the rectangle is going to move, the whole rectangle is going to move. So you can look through all of the different shapes until you can find one that's more size to what you're wanting to do, if you're wanting to do kind of the exact same thing I've done. Now, I don't want these two rectangles that I've accidentally clicked on here, so I'm actually going to go up here just to click undo once, twice, 3, 4, and then we're back to our original design. So this design's obviously not the same as the one I had before, but nonetheless, I think it gives you an idea of what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and download just this page 1 label. Now from here, if you wanted to, let's say this was your final logo, again, you would just hit duplicate page, and then you've got your template, and you just type over your font for all of your other candles that you want. Similarly, I can just click the garbage can and delete that page, and it goes away. I can also go up here and click undo, and it will undo that last action, or last several actions as well. So let's go ahead and click this. Then we're wanting to download the labels, so let's go ahead and click this share button. You're going to click the download button. Now, right now I have 48 pages. I have 48 labels here. I don't want to download all 48. So I'm going to go ahead and click the drop down box there, and I'm just going to click current page, or I could have also just clicked page 1. I'm going to click done. And I want my background to be transparent. Now this, again, you see the crown, so you have to pay for this. But if you didn't, it would download it as white or whatever color background you chose, which would be fine for this instance as well. But transparent background. Now file type, I'm going to leave it as PNG, but you can save it as any file type you like for whatever purpose. But for the purpose of making a label, we want a PNG file. So I'm going to go ahead and click download, and it's going to load accordingly. This is what it's looking like, and just save it. I'm just going to name this, candle label 1, rose and lily. Doesn't matter, whatever you want. Okay, save. So let's go into the spot where I buy the labels for my candles. I used to order my labels on sheetlabels.com when I first started. I am now ordering via a company called Sticker Mule. So either way you choose to do it, if you still have to design the label yourself. If you're still looking to design your label yourself, even a company like Sticker Mule, you're going to need to do all of the steps I've just done, download the label, and then upload it onto their program. But for the purposes of this example, I'm going to show you how you would start out, and I would recommend starting out by making your own labels for small quantity candles. And if you haven't quite, confirmed your exact aesthetic, it's a really good way to go because you have all of the control to print labels in a very, very small quantity and change your mind without breaking the bank. So I wanted to show you how I started out. I started going on sheetlabels.com, and I'm just showing you my order page. So I ordered these 2" by 3" estate. This is totally up to you. So estate labels are almost like a texturized, creamy paper, which are really elegant and beautiful. And the label code is SL893. So you would just type that in the search bar, and it would bring that product up for you to order. My last order, I ordered 500 sheets because my business was starting to really boom and I was making so many candles. But my first order, certainly didn't look like that. And then similarly, I have also ordered these Crest White labels, same size, 2" by 3". When you type in this product number, which you'll notice is the same, it's going to give you a bunch of different paper options. So I would just recommend ordering, the smallest amount of paper options, pick a couple of different kinds, and then you can see what you would like to work with. Sheet Labels has a design function that when you go through, you can pick, it's at the bottom of the order sheet, and it'll bring you into this design studio. And so when you get your labels at home, you put them in your printer, and then you're gonna go to their design studio and upload your artwork. So I have this one previously used. Let's see. you can either just type this in. I've actually just saved this as a favorite because I was using it so much. But again, if you go into purchasing this SL893, right at the bottom, you can click a button. It's called Design Studio, and it's going to open this up for you. And this template is already set up for the 2" by 3" design labels, which is perfect. So here's the label we created earlier, and I'm going to click it and click open. I'm just going to say don't crop. I don't want it to cut anything off. I want to be able to manage it myself. And it's actually fit in here pretty good. So these little dotted lines are the guidelines of where it wants you to be within. You could, make it a little bit smaller if you were worried about that and reposition it, drag it. But I thought before it was pretty good. Now, if you go up here to align, you can align it horizontal, vertical, or center both. I always click center both, and that's just going to put it right into the middle of that design template for you. So that looks really good. So you've loaded your labels, your blank labels into your printer. So now you're going to click print. I've never let them print for me, but you can click print from home. And it's finished downloading. So when you open that up, what it's done is put it on an 8.5 by 11 print sheet, which is what those 2" by 3" labels are going to come to you as. And then you're just going to print it. So you're going to select your printer. This one's actually a black and white printer. I have 2 printers that I use, but this one's a color printer. And you're going to hit print, and voila. Now, a couple of tricks here. Print 1 page at a time just to make sure everything's looking good. And again, this is just for starting out, but this type of technique I really enjoyed because I was changing my mind. I was naming different labels. I was playing around with scents. I was buying small quantities of fragrances. I didn't want to order commercial quality labels off the hop and then get stuck with something financially that I would regret or not be able to change and feel kind of married to something that could actually hurt my business, where perhaps the product wasn't selling as well as I wanted it to, but just because I had paid a large volume of money for a commercial grade label, I didn't want to not produce the quantity of product until those labels were used up. Anyhow, I hope I've gone through this explanation thoroughly enough to get you started. Canva is a really, really powerful software. If you own a business to any capacity, I would highly recommend it. Leave your comments or questions below. I will do my best to get back to everybody and anyone who has anything to say. And as always, thank you for watching today, and please like for more.